Have you ever wondered how far a child can go when the world turns against them? Not a superhero, not a chosen one, just two ordinary kids, lost in a forest so deep that even the sunlight was afraid to enter. Some stories are about magic, some stories are about monsters, but this one is about survival, courage, and a bond so strong that even the darkest evil couldn't break it. This is the story of Hansel and Gretel, like you've never heard before. The beginning. Long before the age of cities and electricity, when roads were just dirt paths and forests ruled the land, there lived a poor woodcutter on the edge of a massive, endless forest. His house was small, old and worn from years of rain and snow, but inside lived two bright souls, Hansel and Gretel. Hansel, the older brother, had sharp eyes, quick thinking, and a heart that refused to give up. Gretel, younger but stronger in spirit, had a kind smile and courage she didn't even know she possessed. After losing her mother to sickness, her father remarried a woman whose heart was as cold as the winter storms that hit their region every year. The stepmother hated the burden of raising two children. Food was already scarce, and every day the cupboards grew emptier. She blamed the children for every hunger pang, every cold night, and every problem they faced, even the ones she created herself. At night, Hansel and Gretel often heard their father sigh and pray for better days, but better days never came. Instead, life kept getting harder. The first terrifying plan. One night, during a brutal storm, the stepmother finally let her cruelty spill out.
"We cannot feed them anymore," she hissed. "Tomorrow, we take them deep into the forest, deep enough so they cannot find their way back."
Hansel, lying awake, heard every word. His heart pounded, but he didn't scream or cry. Instead, he quietly slipped outside. The clouds had parted, revealing a full moon shining like a silver lantern in the sky. The ground glimmered with tiny white pebbles scattered around the house. He filled his pockets. Gretel peeked from the door, trembling. "What are you doing?" she whispered. Hansel whispered back, "Saving us." The next morning, their stepmother forced the family into the woods. The forest was thick and dark, with giant trees towering above them like silent guards. But Hansel, pretending to look at birds and branches, dropped a small white stone every few steps. Click, click, click. A secret trail home. Hours later, they reached a clearing where the stepmother coldly ordered, "Stay here, we'll get firewood." But they didn't return, not in an hour, not in a day. The forest grew darker. Strange sounds echoed all around. But Hansel smiled calmly and said, "When the moon rise, follow the stones." And they did. Under the moonlight, the pebbles sparkled like stars scattered on the ground. Step by step, the children followed the shining path back home. Their father cried with joy, their stepmother, not so much. The second, even crueler betrayal. But happiness never stayed long in that house. Soon, food ran out again. The stepmother grew desperate and crueler. "This time," she said, "deeper in the forest and no stones." Hansel tried to sneak out again that night, but the sky was dark and cloudy. No moon, no light, no stones. He returned to bed defeated. Gretel touched his arm gently. "It's okay, Hansel. We'll get through this together." The next morning, the stepmother gave them each a tiny piece of bread. Hansel secretly crumbled his and let breadcrumbs fall behind them as they walked. But the forest wasn't on their side this time. Birds hopped along the ground behind them, eating every crumb. Hours later, the children were abandoned again, this time in a deeper part of the forest, a place where even their father had never been. They searched for breadcrumbs. They searched for trails. They searched for anything familiar. But there was nothing. Night fell. The trees creaked. Wolves howled in the distance. Cold wind bit their skin. Still, the two children held on to each other.
One day passed, then another. Their legs grew weak, their stomachs empty, their hope thinner and thinner, until the House of Sweets. On the third day, just as the sun began slipping behind the trees, Gretel spotted something unbelievable. "Hansel, am I dreaming?" she whispered. He followed her trembling finger and froze. Nestled between ancient pines stood a house unlike anything on earth. The walls were made of warm gingerbread. The windows were delicate sheets of sugar glass. The roof was thick chocolate. Candy canes framed the doorway. And the air smelled like freshly baked cinnamon rolls and honey. It was a miracle, or so they thought. The starving children rushed to the house and broke off tiny pieces. Hansel nibbling on a chocolate shingle, Gretel tasting the sugary window. Suddenly, creak! The front door opened. An old woman stepped out. Her hair was long and silver, her eyes deep and unreadable. She leaned on a crooked cane and smiled warmly. "My dear children," she said softly, "you look so hungry. Come inside, come inside. There's plenty of food, warm beds, safety." Hansel and Gretel hesitated, but hunger won the battle. They followed her inside. The table was covered with pies, cakes, roasted meats, sweetbreads, jellies, fruits, bowls of creamy soup, more food than they had ever seen in their lives. It was paradise. But paradise can be a trap. Captured by the witch. The next morning, Hansel woke with a scream stuck in his throat. Iron bars, a cage, cold, dark metal surrounding him. Gretel was dragged to the kitchen by the old woman who no longer looked kind. Her back was no longer bent. Her eyes glowed with wicked delight. Her voice cracked like thunder. "Oh, you foolish children," she snarled. "I am a witch. I built this house to lure children like you. He," she pointed at Hansel, "will be fattened and cooked. And you," she yanked Gretel closer, "will be my little servant." Gretel sobbed, but the witch pushed her toward the kitchen. Every morning, the witch demanded Hansel to stick out his finger. "Let me see if you're fat enough yet," she hissed. But Hansel was clever. He found a tiny chicken bone in his cage and held it out instead. The witch, nearly blind, could not see the trick. She grumbled every day, "Still thin? Why aren't you getting fat?" Gretel worked hard, pretending to obey the witch, but she never stopped watching, waiting, planning. The oven of doom. One morning, the witch had enough. "Thin or not, today I feast." She dragged Hansel's cage toward the kitchen and ordered Gretel to heat the massive brick oven outside. "Make the fire hot, blazing hot. I want him tender." Gretel's heart pounded like a drum. She knew this was their last chance. The witch opened the oven door, flames crackling inside. "Check if it's hot enough," she commanded. Gretel nervously stepped closer. I don't know how to check it. I've never done this." The witch shouted impatiently. "Useless child! This is how you check it. You put your head inside like this." And the moment the witch bent forward, Gretel acted. Using every ounce of her strength, she shoved the witch inside the oven and slammed the iron door shut. The witch screamed. The oven roared. The forest went silent. Gretel fell to her knees, shaking, then sprang up and ran to Hansel. "Hansel, she's gone! You're free!" He burst out of the cage and hugged her so tightly she could hardly breathe. "You saved us, Gretel. You really saved us." The treasure and the way home. Inside the witch's house, they found more treasure than they ever imagined. Gold coins, sparkling jewels, overflowing chests filled with riches that glowed like captured sunlight. Hansel's eyes widened. "Father will never go hungry again." They filled their pockets and set out through the forest. But this time, the forest didn't feel dark. It felt alive, guiding them. Birds led the way, streams glowed in the sunlight, and a soft wind seemed to whisper, "Home is near." Hours passed. Then they saw it, their little wooden house. Their father ran out the moment he saw them. "My children, my beautiful children, I thought I lost you forever." He cried and hugged them until his tears soaked their hair. The stepmother? Gone, taken away by her own bitterness and greed. The house finally felt like a home again. With the treasure, they rebuilt their lives. They ate well, they slept warm, and they grew up knowing they had defeated darkness together, not with magic, not with strength, but with courage, love, and unbreakable faith in each other. Hansel and Gretel proved one thing that day. Even the smallest light can crush the deepest darkness.
And that, my friends, is the full story of Hansel and Gretel, a tale of courage, danger, and hope that still inspires us centuries later. If you enjoyed this cinematic storytelling, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable tales.